some back bending preparation. So we are going to start down onto the mat, onto a wide child's pose. So let me just show you. If you bring the knees towards mat width apart and just bring the toes back towards each other. So you're trying to get the big toes to meet. Perhaps if you find this particularly challenging, you can use a prop, say a block or a rolled up pillow or towel to sit under. And then just start to release forward. So as you release forward, we're going to bring the hands out, mat width apart. Draw the elbows back to the knees, just rest the chest down towards the mat. So you're just lengthening through the spine. Just releasing the chest down, closing your eyes. So yoga in its true essence is set to prepare you for life. If everything we do is always easy, it doesn't give us the right preparation for life. And back bending is one of the things that we rarely do in the Western world. And it takes us very much out of our comfort zone. Challenges us mentally as well as physically. So as you move through your practice this evening, just start with the first variations that I give you. Try to see and judge how your body's feeling tonight. And try not to progress your practice too quickly. Just listen to your body. To improve any level of practice, always a level of tension has to be achieved, but never pain. As you rest out on the rug mat here, just lengthening out through each inhalation. And as you exhale, just soften the body further down towards the mat, lengthen out through the spine. Now let's slowly start to press into the hands. We're just going to gently draw the torso up. Bring the hands back towards each other. Let's just draw the knees in. And we're going to sit onto the heels. So you're drawing the bottom onto the heels, just rolling the toes away back to the back edge of your mat. So sweeping the arms all the way up to the sky. Just interlace the fingers overhead. Let's just turn the palms away. Draw the triceps back behind the ears. Create length in the spine. And then think about bringing the shoulder blades down the back so you're not drawing the shoulders around the ears. Bringing the arms out in front of you, let's just turn the palms to faces. Let's just bend the elbows round the spine and tuck the head. So we're starting to mobilise through the back. Now bringing the hands onto the back of the head, let's start to draw the torso all the way up. Inhale, gaze up to the sky, open the elbows out to the long edge of the mat. Exhale as we round, bring the elbows and touch them onto the knees, round out through the spine. Inhale, bringing the gaze up, perhaps taking a slight back bend here as you gaze up towards the ceiling. Exhaling round. Inhaling, drawing that all the way up. As we exhale round, really draw the chest towards the thighs now. Release the hands, bring the palms together. We're going to bend the elbows, bring the thumbs over the back of the neck, just touching onto the top of the spine. And then walking the elbows forward, just start to stretch out through the triceps. Bottoms drawing back towards the heels. Just soften the upper body. And releasing the hands out, let's just gently walk the hands over towards the right, placing the left palm on top of the right, push out through the left fingertips, out through the left sit bone, and stretch out through the side waist. Now slowly starting to draw that back to centre. Let's just walk that all the way over towards the left. Placing the right hand onto the left, pushing out through the right fingertips, push back through the right sit bone, stretch out through the side waist. Now gently tipping the hands back to centre. Let's walk the hands back towards the knees. Pressing down through the hands, let's just tuck the toes now and sit onto the heels. So you might find this particularly challenging, but you're just trying to roll the toes out onto the mat. Again, inhaling, sweeping the arms up, interlacing the fingers overhead, stretch out. And then releasing the palms of the hands onto the back of the head. Inhale, draw length into the spine. Exhale, roll the right elbow towards the side, go to the mat, stretching out through the side waist. Inhaling, drawing that back to centre. Exhale, release over to the left. Inhale, draw that back to centre. Again, releasing the hands overhead. Let's just now draw the hands down in front of us. Palms facing, bending the elbows. Let's just round the spine and tuck the head. Releasing the hands now, planting them down onto the mat. Let's lift up onto the knees. Release and perhaps tap out through the toes. Releasing the bottom back towards the heels. Let's draw the hands behind us and interlace the fingers. Bringing the gaze forward. Perhaps you just lift the arms from here. Or perhaps you release onto the crown of the head. Stack the hips over the knees and really release and open up through the tops of the shoulders. Now slowly start to bring this all the way back down. Just releasing the hands now. Let's just draw the torso up. Separating the knees out of hip distance apart. Let's just roll up into kneeling. So bringing the hands into heart center. Just take the gaze up. So visualize pushing the hips forward, engage through the quadriceps, and just start to take the gaze up towards the ceiling. So you're opening the heart up towards the sky. Try and use the body as one unit. So you feel the stretch go down the front of the quadriceps. The gaze is up towards the ceiling. You're taking a slight back bend here. As you push the hips forward, just perhaps see if you can gaze a little bit further towards the ceiling. And then slowly starting to bring that back. Let's just gently release the bottom down towards the heels. Rest the palms, the tops of the hands onto the soles of the feet. So we're just counterposing here. So this is your Balasana or child's pose, which is always your best counter pose for a back bend. Okay, slowly bringing the gaze back. Let's just bring the hands back. Drawing the knees back towards each other, planting the hands down, just working now into the core. Engage the lower belly, draw that in towards the navel. Shorten the gap between the navel and the ribs. Let's just inhale, lift the knees up, really push out through the fingertips. Push out through the palms of the hands and see if you can lift up a little higher. So you're drawing the knees up towards the chest, resting up onto the top of the toes. Push the spine up towards the sky. Perhaps you can even see if you can release the feet off the mat, keeping the core strong, keeping it activated, drawing in through the pelvic floor. Now slowly releasing that all the way down to the mat. Let's just roll out through the shoulders. Just release any tension you may have built up there. Then bringing ourselves back to kneeling. So separating the knees out hip distance apart. Let's just roll the torso up. This time we're taking a slight drop back, so you're strengthening up through the quadriceps. Again, hands into heart center. Visualize that this is one unit from your knee to your shoulder. So as you inhale, lift the spine up. And as you exhale, hinge the knees rolling back. Feel it far up in the quads. Inhale, drawing forward. Exhale, dropping back, gaze towards the ceiling. Inhale, push into the quads. Exhaling, drop back. Let's do one more. Inhale, lift the heart up towards the sky. This time as we exhale, drop back, hold it here. Perhaps you can release the bottom down towards the heels, or perhaps you can just draw the hands down onto the mat. Lift the heart up towards the sky. Push the hips forward and see if you can take the gaze towards your back wall. Just make sure there's no issues with the neck. Let's take another couple of breaths here, stretching out to the front of the legs. Stretching out through the abdomen. And slowly drawing the torso up as one unit. Let's just plant the hands down your head. So meeting into your tabletop. Inhale, gaze forward, dip the spine down, tip the tailbone up. Let's exhale, just round the spine and tuck the head. Inhale, drawing the gaze forward, dip the spine down, tailbone up. Exhaling round. Now bringing that back to a neutral spine. Spreading the fingers wide onto the mat. Inhale, draw that right knee in. See if you can touch it onto the forehead. Exhale, take the sole of the right foot up towards the sky. Inhale, draw in, right knee in. Exhale, release that heel up. Inhale, draw that all the way in. And as we exhale, let's just hold it here, grounding down through the right hand, release the left hand off the mat. Perhaps you bring the left hand back, grab hold of that right ankle. And again, you're taking it back then by gazing forward, pushing the hand and ankle into each other, arch the spine, lift up through the chest. And then slowly let's start to release everything down. Taking the hands out mat width apart. Let's start to lift the sit bones up towards the sky, melt the heart down onto the mat. So walk the fingertips forward. You're stretching out through the tops of the shoulders. The heart's melting down, hips are stacked over knees. And just connect with your breath here. Inhale, walking the fingers forward. Exhaling, releasing the chest down. Now slowly starting to bring the hands back. Let's just plant the hands down on the mat. This time inhaling, drawing the left knee in, touch it onto the nose. Exhale, left sole of the foot up towards the sky. Inhale, draw in, knee to nose. Exhale, releasing up. Inhale, draw in, knee to nose. We're going to hold it up here now. Exhale, draw that right left heel up towards the sky. Releasing the right hand. Let's bring the right hand back to meet that left foot. Push the hand and foot together. Open the heart. Take the gaze up. Take a slight back bend if you can. And gently releasing everything down to the mat. Let's just start to walk the hands forward. So the thumbs are together, walk the fingertips forward, just melt the heart down, release the forehead down towards the mat. Thumbs are together, perhaps you can even bring your hands into prayer posture and just lower down and stretch out through the shoulders. Now slowly bringing the gaze back first, let's start to walk the hands back. Planting the hands down onto the mat. Let's just start to slowly release the torso all the way down. Facing down onto the mat, bring the hands and touch them onto the sides of the thighs or the sides of the hips. Toes are in, heels are out. So just visualize the muscles that run down the back of the spine. So they run either side of the spine. Engaging those muscles. As we inhale, we're going to lift. We're lifting the thighs off the mat. You're lifting the chest. The gaze is very slightly forward. Toes in together, heels are rolling out. Try not to engage the glutes too much. Just make sure that you're still breathing in this posture. So you can lift a little higher by engaging the muscles into the back. And then exhaling, releasing that down. Now start to bend the knees. You can draw the heels towards the bottom, grabbing hold of the tops of the feet. So you want to feel a stretch into the quadricep. So perhaps you stay here, or perhaps you draw the heels in towards the bottom. Perhaps you can bring the knees towards each other. And if you still don't feel a stretch into the quad, see if you can just play around with lifting up through one knee. Keep the hip bones down on the mat. Release that knee down. And then lift up through the other leg. And then release that leg down. Perhaps you can even play around with taking the heels either side of the bottom. Now keeping hold of the feet, grab the ankles by the hands Bringing the gaze forward again. This time we're going to lift up into a bow. So if you find this too challenging, you just go back to the previous posture. So as we inhale, we lift the legs, lift the chest off the mat. The gaze is forward now. Push the hands and ankles into each other just to deepen the back bend. Again, keep your breath long and strong. Just feel the back muscles working. And then exhaling, releasing that down. Release the feet down the mat, plant the hands underneath the shoulders. And as we inhale, let's just lift up either into a low cobra with the elbows still bent, or perhaps you start to straighten out through the arms and take yourself into a Sphinx posture, or seal posture rather. Gaze is forward, you're taking a slight back bend. If you feel a pinching in the back, just start to bend the elbows. And slowly lowering the chest down towards the mat. Let's take the hands underneath the shoulders. And we're going to push them back, meet back into our child's pose. So you're drawing the bottom back towards the heels, arch the spine, up towards the sky. So we're just counterbalancing here. So you're lifting and arching the spine up, releasing the chest down towards the thighs. Okay, let's slowly start to bring the gaze forwards, walk the hands back. We're going to draw the legs out to the side and just bring the legs out in front of us. Okay, just taking a little windscreen wiper with the legs. So the feet are hip distance, mat width apart. Let's just gently roll the legs over towards the right. Draw them back through centre, then roll them over to the left. Bringing them back to centre. Feet are now hip distance apart. Grab behind the thighs. Draw the chest towards the thighs. Sit up nice and tall so there's no rounding through the spine. Rolling back onto the sit bones. Let's just release the feet off the mat. Flex out through the feet. Draw the toes back towards the face and release the hands, palms facing each other. Sitting up nice and tall. Drawing that chest towards the thighs. Perhaps you can see if you can play around with lifting the arms up. Push out through the fingertips, gaze up towards the ceiling. Now gently releasing the hands down. Let's start to lower the feet down onto the mat, taking the hands behind you, fingertips facing the bottom. Let's just inhale, lift the hips up, and we're meeting into our reverse table. So stretch out through the front body. As you lift the hips higher, you feel a stretch down the hip flexors and into the quadriceps. If the neck's okay, allow the head to drop. Perhaps you just have a gentle rock forward and back here. And then grounding down through the left foot. Bring the gaze back. Let's start to lift that right leg up to the sky. Flex out through the right foot. Inhale, push that right heel up to the ceiling. Exhaling, drawing the hips behind the elbows. Inhale, lift that all the way up to the sky. Exhale, drawing the hips back. Inhale, lift. Exhaling, draw the bottom now down to the mat, and then let's slowly lower that right leg down, out straight. Keeping the right hand behind us, let's draw the left hand up, and then bringing the left elbow onto the left inner thigh. Just take the gaze back. So you're just twisting and taking a very gentle back bend. Twist in the back. Bringing the gaze back first. Let's start to bring the body back, taking the left hand down behind us now. Let's sweep the right hand up to the sky. Bringing the right elbow over the left thigh and twist. Gaze back over that left shoulder. Okay, bringing the gaze back. Let's start to release the arms back. Taking the left ankle into the left hand. Let's see if we can draw that left foot behind us. So ideally, you've got the left toes tracking on the outside edge of that left hip. You're drawing your knees towards each other. So you feel a stretch into the left quadricep, flex out through the right foot. Let's sweep the arms up towards the sky. And as we exhale, hinge forward. So you're taking the hands either side of the ankles or the shin. See if you can draw that right thigh bone inside of the hip socket. Draw the chest towards the thigh, push out through the crown of the head. Now let's slowly start to bring the gaze back. Let's start to TP the hands back up the mat. So we're going to go backwards from here. So just see how you feel. This is classed as a back bend. You take the hands behind you and you start to release down. But immediately, if you've got tight quadriceps, you might feel this is quite strong onto the quadricep. So perhaps you may be able to release down to the elbows. Perhaps you may be able to release all the way down to the mat. But you should feel it in the front of that left thigh. So just take the variation that suits you. For some of you, you may be using a prop, so you can always rest onto a bolster or onto a pillow. We're not going to stay here for long. For those of you working deeper into the practice, perhaps you release the arms overhead, grabbing alternate wrists or elbows, and roll the shoulder blades out on the mat. Perhaps close your eyes for a couple of breaths. Just allow the body to soften down. Now let's slowly start to release the hands, engaging the elbows onto the mat if you've rolled all the way down. Bringing the chest up, let's gradually start to bring the body up. Release that left leg. And again, let's just plant the feet down that width apart. And let's just have a gentle rock side to side. Just release any tension before we take that to the other side. Now bringing the feet back, hip distance apart, planting the feet down on the mat, draw the chest towards the thighs, resting onto the sit bones, engage the core. Let's lift the legs, make the shins parallel with the mat. Flexing out through the feet, draw the toes back towards the face and release the hands with the palms facing each other. Sitting up nice and tall, engaging that core, navel to spine. Inhale, draw the arms up so you can take the gaze up as well. Make sure that the chest hasn't left the thighs. Now slowly bringing the arms back first. Let's start to draw the feet down to the mat. Sweeping the hands behind us. Fingertips facing the bottom. Let's inhale, lift and meet back into our reverse table. Again, it might feel nice just to have a gentle rock forward and back here. Lift the hips up towards the sky. Engage the glutes. Grounding down through that right foot. Let's lift the left leg all the way up. Flex out through the left foot. Inhale, lift. And as we exhale, shimmy the hips back and take them behind the elbows. Inhale, draw that all the way up. Exhaling, releasing back. Arms are strong. Inhale, lift. And this time as you exhale, release the bottom down towards the mat, release that left leg. Leaving the left hand behind you, let's draw the right elbow onto that inside of that right knee, just twist gazing over the left shoulder. Slowly bringing the gaze back, let's just bring the arms back and bring the right hand behind the bottom, sweep the left arm up to the sky and take the left elbow over that right knee and twist. Try and get the chest beyond that right thigh. Use that backhand for stability. Now bringing the gaze back. Let's start to bring the torso back. Grabbing hold of the right ankle with the right hand, draw that right heel behind us so it's tracking on the outside edge of the right hip. Flex out through the left foot. So as you inhale, sweep the arms up, you create space in the upper body. And as you exhale, you hinge down. Think about drawing that left thigh bone inside the hip socket, fold down over the left thigh. Keep that left leg activated. So you're activating the quad. Drawing your toes back towards the face. And just using that left leg to create stability to make sure you don't roll over to the left. Now let's start to bring the gaze back forward. Let's then start to TP the hands back. So we're going to gently release backwards from here. So as you release backwards, again, you might feel different from one side to another. So do it slowly. Just perhaps go back on the hands, see how that feels. Perhaps go back on the elbows, see how that feels. For those of you working deeper into the posture, perhaps you release yourself all the way down. And the final variation is to bring the arms overhead and draw the shoulder blades out on the mat, opening up through the front of the chest. And just rest down here. So this is a half reclined hero. The purpose of this pose for what we're doing tonight is to stretch out through the quad and stretch out through the hip flexors. So to create back bending, you need to create flexibility and strength within the front of the body. And you need to work the back muscles to improve the strength in the back muscles. Okay, so if you come all the way down onto the mat, let's start to draw the elbows into the side ribs, raise up onto the elbows, and then let's all start to draw the body all the way up. Release that left leg out in front, and perhaps you just give the legs a shake. Again, if you like to just take a quick windscreen wipe of the legs, it just helps bring the body back into a normal alignment. So let's meet back into our seated Navasana. Feet down, bend the knees, draw the chest, so engage through the core, navel into spine, suck in through the pelvic floor. Let's release the feet up, shins parallel with the mat, and draw the toes back towards the face. Bringing the hands out in front of us, palms facing each other. Draw the chest in, lifting the arms up towards the sky, so you can gaze towards the ceiling. So from here, we're going to see if we can take this into an actual Potassium chair pose. So you plant the feet down on the mat, draw the body up, bring the hands out in front of you. Gaze, sit down into the bottom, keep the thighs active. And then as we exhale, let's draw the chest towards the thighs, sweep the arms behind us, interlace the fingers, gazing towards the toes. Exhale, so you can lift the hips up towards the sky, keep the chest connected to the thighs, and lift the arms overhead. Stretching out through the fronts of the shoulders. Now slowly rebending the knees. Let's just start to release the hands. Let's sweep the arms all the way back to your Utkatasana. And as we exhale, straighten out through the legs. Bring the hands down beside you. Okay, let's just take some Surya Namaskara A. Inhaling, sweeping the arms up towards the sky. As we exhale, let's hinge from the hips, fold that forward. Inhale, gazing ahead. As we exhale, plant the hands down, let's just step back and meet into a high plank. We're going to lower the knees to the mat. Shimmy the right leg to the outside edge of the mat, lengthen out through the left leg. Let's sweep that left arm all the way overhead so you're meeting into a side plank. Lifting the left leg off the mat. See if you can release that left hand behind you, bring the left heel up towards the bottom, draw the heel in, gazing up towards the ceiling so you feel a stretch down that quadricep. Now slowly releasing everything back out, bring the left hand down to the mat, release the left knee. Drawing the inner elbows towards the side ribs, let's lower the chest and chin. As we inhale, let's draw that all the way either into a low cobra with the elbows bent, or perhaps you now bring it into an up dog. And let's push back through the toes, and let's draw that back and meet into a downward facing dog. So just have a little pedal out here, release tension in the back of the legs, just ease into the calf muscles. And then inhaling, gazing forward, let's make our way up to the head of the mat, and exhale, fold down here. Inhale, drawing that all the way up to standing. Exhaling, releasing hands to heart center. Let's go left side. Inhaling, lengthen. Exhaling, folding forward. Inhale, gaze ahead. As we exhale, let's take the hands down. Let's step back and meet into a high plank. Lowering the knees down to the mat. Shimmy the left leg over to the side of the mat. Lengthen out through the right leg. Roll the right arm all the way overhead. Kneeling side plank. Lifting up through that right leg. Draw the right hand behind you. See if you can grab hold of the top of that right foot. Bring the heel in towards the bottom, gaze up towards the sky. Okay, slowly releasing this all the way back. Right hand down, right knee down to the mat. Draw the gaze forward. Inner elbows towards the side ribs, knees, chest, chin. Let's inhale, draw that into an up dog. And then exhale, push back through the heels and meet that into a downward facing dog. Inhale, gazing forward. Let's make our way up to the head of the mat. Exhale, fold down here. Inhale, bring our way all the way up to standing. Exhaling, bringing the hands into heart center. Just separate the feet so they're around hip distance apart. Ground down through the feet, make the legs strong. As we inhale, lift the heart, open it up towards the sky. And as we exhale, just see if you can take the gaze backwards. So you're perhaps looking up to the ceiling, pushing the hips forward. Now slowly bringing the torso all the way back to standing. Let's exhale, fold that all the way down. Inhaling, look up and lengthen. This time as we exhale, hands down, let's step back and meet into a high plank. Lowering down through chaturanga, inhale into an up dog. Let's exhale, release back and draw that into a downward facing dog. Inhaling the right leg up to the sky. We're going to draw that right knee into the chest, engage the thigh onto the belly, hover forward, stack the shoulders over the wrists. Inhale, lift, protract the shoulders up to the sky. Exhaling, dropping and hovering that knee between the thumbs. Inhale, draw that right leg up. Exhaling, hover down. Inhale, draw up, planting the right foot at the head of the mat. Let's just lower the left knee and release the toes. So just make sure that the right foot sufficiently far forward that the right knee is stacked over the right ankle. Inhaling, sweeping the arms up, interlace the fingers and just planting the backs of the hands onto the back of the head. Take the gaze up. So as you take the gaze up, sink the hips down and start to take a back bend here. Elbows are tracking out to the long edges of your mat and you're sinking down into that left hip. Now slowly bringing the gaze back forward, let's just release the hands. Planting the hands down onto the mat. Tuck up through the back toes, lift up through the back knee and start to roll onto the outside edge of that left foot. Taking the right leg back to meet it, we're meeting into a side plank. Pushing up through those right fingertips. Perhaps you stay here in your side plank or perhaps you see if you can grab that right heel, bring it in towards the bottom. Now let's slowly start to release that all the way out, planting the right hand down. Let's take a chaturanga or knees, chest, chin. Inhale, draw that into an up dog. Exhale, push back through the heels and meet into a downward facing dog. Now inhaling the left leg up to the sky. We're going to draw that left knee into the chest. So engage onto the belly, hinge forward, gaze between the thumbs. Inhale, protract the shoulders. Exhale, hover the knee off the mat. Inhale, draw that up. Exhale, releasing down. Inhale, draw up. Planting the left foot at the head of the mat. Release the right knee, flatten the right toe. So just adjust that foot position to start with. And then as we inhale, let's draw that all the way up, interlacing the fingers. Taking the palms of the hands onto the back of the head. Inhale, lift the heart up towards the sky. Exhaling, gazing up towards the ceiling, sink down into that right hip. So you feel a deep opening up. You're also trying to take a back bend. You're perhaps wobbling onto that left foot and right knee. Okay, bring the gaze back. Let's start to release the hands down to the mat. Tucking through the back toes, lift up through the back knee, roll onto the outside edge of that right foot. Let's draw the left leg back to meet it, sweep the left arm up towards the sky. Swim into our side plank. Lovely. Let's see if we can perhaps release that left heel towards the bottom, grab hold of the left foot with the left hand. Now let's slowly start to release this back into a high plank, planting the left hand down, left toes. Option to lower your knees to the mat or take a full chaturanga. Inhale, draw that into an up dog. Exhale, push back through the heels and draw that into a downward facing dog. Inhaling, gazing forward. Let's make our way up to the head of the mat. Let's exhale, fold down here. Inhale, draw that all the way up to standing. Exhaling, releasing the hands to heart center. So again, just separate the feet out, hip distance apart again. This time we're going to interlace the fingers behind the back, ground down through the feet, keep the legs active, pushing the hips forward. Let's inhale, draw the gaze up, release the hands down, and see if you can gaze up towards the ceiling. Hips are forward, chest up towards the sky. Draw the hands down the back of the legs. Now slowly start to bring everything back to the midline. Release the hands and let's just release the body forward. So perhaps you release the body forward and touch the mat, or perhaps you just prefer to grab alternate elbows. Just have a gentle fold out here. Release tension into the back. Now slowly bringing the gaze back, let's release the hands and just gradually ragdoll the body up to standing. Grounding down through the left foot. Left hand onto the left hip. Let's raise that right leg up. So you're bringing the right heel in towards the bottom. Grab hold of that top of that right foot. Stand up nice and tall, standing leg strong. Let's release the left hand up towards the sky. Gaze towards something that doesn't move. So we're going to see if we can hinge forward from here. So as you hinge forward, draw the left hand out in front. Take that right knee back. You're going to hinge all the way down, planting the left hand onto the mat. And then drawing, really stretching out through that right quad as you draw the heel into the bottom. Try and stack the right hip on top of the left. And if your balance is good, you can gaze up towards the right shoulder. Okay, let's see if we can go back the way we came. So slowly starting to draw that right knee back to center. Release the left fingers off the mat. Let's draw that all the way back up. Releasing that right leg now. Let's plant the right foot down the back of the mat. Release and align that right heel. So the foot's at 45 degrees. Inhale, sweeping the arms up towards the sky. Interlace the fingers, index finger out. Inhale, lift up through the chest. And then exhaling, just taking a slight back bend from here. Push down into that left leg. Left thigh parallel with the mat, right leg's activated. Releasing the hands. Let's start to plant the hands down onto the mat. Let's take that back through your vinyasa. Lowering down from chaturanga. Inhale, bring that into an up dog. Exhaling, pushing back through the heels and taking into a downward facing dog. Inhale, gazing forward. Let's make our way up to the head of the mat. Exhale, deepen a fold here. Inhale, draw that all the way up to standing. Exhaling, releasing hands to heart center. Okay, let's take that to the other side. So grounding down through the right foot. Let's take the left foot into the left hand. Right hand onto the right hip to start with. Standing nice and tall, so you can align the knees. Keep the standing leg strong. Raising the right arm up towards the sky, we're going to start to hinge forward. So as you hinge forward, take the left leg behind you, release the right hand down to the mat. Then start to stack the left hip on top of the right. So you're really stretching out through that left quad, opening up through the hips. Perhaps you can gaze towards the left shoulder. Coming back the way we came. Ground into that right foot. See if you can release the left knee back towards the right. Bring yourself back up to standing. A little cheek there, I'm afraid. Then let's release that left leg down the mat. Let's meet into our warrior one. So you're aligning the left heel and right heel. Left foot at 45 degrees. Interlace the fingers overhead. Sink down into that right thigh. Start to take the gaze up towards the ceiling. See if you can draw the triceps by the ears. Back leg strong. Just taking a slight back bend here. And then slowly start to draw everything forward. Let's plant the hands down on the mat. Let's take the right leg back to meet the left. Releasing down through the chaturanga. Inhale that into an up dog. Let's exhale, push back through the heels and into a downward facing dog. Inhaling, bringing the gaze forward. Let's step up to the head of the mat. Exhaling, take a fold. Inhale, draw that all the way up to standing. Exhaling, releasing hands to heart center. Okay, so we're just going to take ourselves into our deepest variation back bend now. So just take a variation that suits you. Just separate out the feet hip distance apart. Bring the hands into heart center. So you're lifting up through the spine. You're separating the vertebrae out. So inhale, lift. And as you exhale, push the hips forward. Take the gaze up towards the ceiling. Perhaps you can even take the gaze towards the back wall as you push the hips forward. Keep activation in the legs. Keep the quads nice and strong. Take a couple of breaths here. And then slowly drawing the body back to centre. Let's start to fold forward. So as you fold forward, just fold gently forward. Release and grab alternate elbows. Just allow the head to hang heavy. Perhaps you just take a gentle rock side to side. Then releasing the hands down onto the mat. Let's start to walk the feet out, mat width apart. We're going to meet into a Navasana. So you slowly bend the knees, draw the bottom down towards the mat. Elbows in towards the edges of the thighs. Just bring the hands into heart center, so you're meeting into your yoga squat. This is quite a nice one just to stretch out through the spine. And there's also a little rock you can do, which looks a bit weird, but it feels quite nice in the back. Perhaps you just rock forward and back. I won't make the same joke I made this morning, but it does really help in and still on the spine. Okay, now let's slowly release the bottom down towards the mat. Just bring the bottom back if you need to. Let's just have a gentle windscreen wiper forward and back here. And then we're going to bring ourselves down onto the mat. So we're going to finish with, if you've got a block, or you've got a bolster, or a rolled towel or blanket, we're going to use the prop. So as you roll down onto the mat, feet are hip distance apart. You're going to bring the block or blanket or whatever you're using, and you're going to rest it onto your sacrum. So your sacrum's the knobbly bit at the base of your pelvis. You should feel it protruding out at the base of the pelvis. So you're going to rest the sacrum onto your prop and just allow yourself to rest down onto the mat. So perhaps you stay here with the feet planted down on the mat, feet around hip distance apart, and just allow the weight of the pelvis just to drop down into your prop. Perhaps you'd like to release the feet out and you're actually just resting solely, so the feet are going towards the front of your mat. And for further stretch, you bring the hands overhead, palms facing up, you're resting onto the back of the hands. If you haven't got a prop and you want a different variation, plant the feet down on the mat. Let's just inhale, lift the hips up. Just see if you can just about touch the heels. And you're stretching out through the hip flexors. You're taking a little gentle back bend. So that's your bridge posture. And if you're using a prop, it's a supported bridge. And it's actually quite a pleasant stretch. I found it really nice, actually. It just stretches out through the hip flexors. It stretches out through the front body. And if you're releasing the arms overhead, just roll the shoulder blades out onto the mat and allow the collarbones to open up. So just have a few breaths, just resting out here. Now, whichever variation you're in, we're going to start to bring the arms back first if you've released the arms overhead. Plant the palms of the hands down on the mat and then just walk the feet back in if you've lengthened out. Lift the pelvis off the prop, remove your prop, and then gently, one vertebrae at a time, just roll that the back of the spine down onto the mat. Then grabbing hold of the knees, bring the knees into the chest, raise the sole of the feet up towards the sky. Bringing the hands in between the legs, we're going to meet into a happy baby. So you're just going to grab the outside edges of the ankles, outside edges of the shins, or perhaps you take the hands onto the top of the feet. So you're using this happy baby just to release tension in the spine. So really try and flatten the back of the pelvis out, flatten the lumbar spine. Draw the back base of the coccyx down towards the mat. And then perhaps you just feel nice, just have a gentle rock side to side, just massaging that lumbar spine. Now keeping hold of the right foot, let's release the left leg, lengthen that left leg down the mat. Then bringing the right knee into the left hand, let's release the right hand, cactus it out to the side and roll that right leg over to the left and just gaze over the right shoulder. You don't need to bring the knee down to the mat, you just rest the toes onto the left side of your mat. Gently drawing that back through centre. Let's just bring both knees into the chest. And this time grabbing the left knee into the right hand, lengthen that right leg away. Let's cactus the left arm out to the side and then just roll that left knee over towards the right and just gaze over the left shoulder. Again, gently bring that back to centre. Bring the right knee up to meet the left. And this time, just grabbing the knees, just gently roll out, just rolling them out to the side edges of the mat as you ease into the hips, but you're still pushing that lumbar spine down, just flattening it into the mat. And then lastly, we're going to release down and meet into our Shavasana. So you're just drawing and releasing the feet out, mat width apart. Allowing the feet to roll out. Bringing the hands down the side, you just allow the palms to face up. Just open up through the front of the chest, open up through the collarbones. So at the end of every practice, you're always invited to take rest. It's that time to dedicate to yourself. Freedom from thoughts. Freedom from disturbances. So gently starting to reawaken the body. Just perhaps bring a little bit of movement back in, starting with your extremities. Just rolling out through the wrists and the ankles. And Just gradually start to walk the feet back towards each other and then engage the soles of the feet on the mat. So as you draw the feet in towards the bottom, push the lumbar spine down. And then bringing the knees into the chest, just wrap the arms around the legs and just take whatever movement you like. So perhaps you just gently sway side to side, or perhaps you prefer to make a circle with the spine into the mat. So you're just giving yourself a little self-massage here. And gradually starting to either roll to the side, or perhaps you prefer to roll forward and back and just roll all the way up to seated. Let's just bring our hands into heart center. Always give yourself gratitude for your practice. Delight everything your bodies can achieve. Just notice your areas of weakness. Observe how your body changes. But just be glad that we can all practice together. Thank you very much for letting me guide you. Namaste.